So as far as the US position is concerned, what is amply clear is Donald Trump's stance that US intervention in Iran should be swift, decisive and regime shaking. However, his advisors have warned that US forces cannot guarantee a quick collapse of Tehran's leadership or prevent a wider regional war, in a stark contrast to the rapid raid that ousted Venezuela's Maduro just days ago. Iran's protests, now the largest since 1979, with thousands killed and tens of thousands detained, have complicated the calculus. Trump had repeatedly hinted at a possible intervention, but later softened his rhetoric, saying he's been told killings and executions have stopped in Iran. While closely monitoring the situation, a US carrier strike group led by the USS Abraham Lincoln is steaming towards the Middle East. This is a visible show of military readiness that could reach the Persian Gulf in just about a week. Here's more. The Pentagon has redirected the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group from the South China Sea towards the Gulf region, a move that's signaling Washington's readiness for possible kinetic action against Iran. US defense officials have said that the redeployment comes as unrest inside Iran is intensifying and as Tehran's proxies are already stepping up missile and militia threats across the region. The strike group, currently transiting westward, is expected to arrive within a week, bolstering American deterrence alongside allies like Israel. With the carrier's arrival, the US is sending a clear message that it is prepared to respond swiftly if the situation escalates. Let's quickly break this down for you, what this is going to mean as far as the movement of USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft and some of its escort warships are concerned. In fact, it's a striker group. It's heading towards the Middle East from the South China Sea. To, in fact, break it down for you, remember it was deployed in November of last year. There was no official confirmation from the Pentagon in terms of its movement, but what we can tell you is that it has departed from South China Sea. In fact, our sources are telling us that currently it is somewhere in the Arabian Sea, in the Indian Ocean, and that's how it is moving towards the Middle East. You can expect it to roughly arrive within 5 days from now. It had departed San Diego in late November 2025 with almost no fanfare. And in fact, reports are indicating that Pentagon was maintaining a deliberate strategic silence about its location. The Department of Defense did announce where it would be deployed. It will take about 5 days for the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group to transit from the Indo-Pacific all the way to the Middle East. Now, why is this going to be concerning? Let's also explain you why. Because the USS Abraham Lincoln is a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. It was commissioned in 1989 with more than 35 years of active service. This floating fortress weighs 100,000 tons. It's powered by 2 nuclear reactors, giving it virtually unlimited range and the ability to operate anywhere in the world without refueling. Its air wing delivers overwhelming force from the sky that includes FA-18 Super Hornets, the EA-18G Growlers for electronic warfare, E-2D Hawkeyes for airborne command and control, and MH-60 Seahawks for anti-submarine and rescue missions. Protecting the carrier are Elaaheh Burke-class destroyers guarding against air and submarine threats. These warships are armed with dozens of Tomahawk cruise missiles capable of striking target groups up to 1,000 miles away. Why does this matter at all? The USS Abraham Lincoln is battle-tested. It's capable of rapid, decisive strikes, even ideally suited for deployment in West Asia. Its presence sends a clear message that the United States is prepared, positioned, and watching closely. As the US President said, they are locked and loaded. Where would the USS Lincoln now dock? What are the US assets in the Middle East if they were to consider a decisive strike on Iran? Remember, the US maintains a significant military presence across the Middle East. It's in fact got its own bases. If you were to look at the Middle Eastern nations, let's break it down for you. They have a strength of roughly 600 troops in Oman, down in the Middle East. You're also looking at, in fact, Qatar. The strength is close to thousand troops over there. Elaaheh, the air base is very much over there. In fact, what we are also being told is that they've already started vacating their troops from Qatar. As far as the naval support activity is concerned, you have Bahrain supporting the US troops over there. Roughly the strength is 7,000. Let's look at Saudi Arabia. It's not, in fact, on very good terms at the moment, but it is also holding the US president back from striking Iran. They have, in fact, close to a strength of 3,000 troops. Kuwait, 13,000. Syria, as we all know, after the fall of Bashar al-Assad, US was quick in sending its troops, 2,000 as far as the strength is concerned. Turkey, the strength is close to 2,500. So all of these nations, what we are being told, are also playing a very critical role in sort of telling the US president that he needs to come up with a decisive plan, because even though the USS striker group, USS Abraham Lincoln, is on its way, it's not going to suffice in breaking down the Iranian regime. Now, the other big question that is in fact being confronted by the United States is that if it were to strike Iran, as far as the USS carrier strike group is concerned, what is going to be the primary target? Let's break that down for you. You're looking at the IRGC command centers. That is going to be the primary sort of concern for the US, because remember, they still hold a strength of 150,000 personnel as we speak. At the forefront of the IRGC is the Basij militia infrastructure, which is in fact the core strength of the IRGC, and it is also the militia that is actually cracking down on the protesters in Iran. The Iranian police facilities could also be very much targeted by the striker group. At the same time, regime-linked economic assets. Why is that going to be a target? It's in fact called the scorched earth military tactic, where the armies of foreign nations in fact go on to attack the resources. That could be the mineral deposits, the oil and gas reserves in Iran, even their crops and water resources. All of that combined could be in fact targeted by the striker group. But more importantly, is that going to suffice for a regime change that the United States and Israel both are hoping for, even in fact hinting at? The moot question is, what is it that Iranians want? What do they think about a decisive military action by the United States? Because Iranians, whether inside Iran or outside, including the diaspora community, believe that the only way to a change in Iran is by toppling the Iranian regime under the Ayatollah. Listen in to what Elaaheh Jamali, aka Lilly Moo, who is a British-Iranian activist, has to say. So is Reza Pahlavi a solution, given he is the exiled prince of the very regime that was ousted in 1979 and is accused of having links with Israel?
I have no time for questions that are full of empty answers. They have their answers. They already have decided why they are asking that question. Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is the only alternative to move on from this regime. He is the only man Iranian people are calling for. All of these accoladed Nobel Prize winning reformists can just carry on with the Nobel Prize after the regime falls, and they will probably be celebrated for their achievements too. But for now, please keep out. Stay aside. We have work to do. Iranian people are dying. There is no time for apology. There is no time for intellectualization. And there is no time for your little feminist movements. This is not a gender apartheid. This is an Iran being pushed and squished and killed. This is a carnage on the streets of Iran. They are piling up bodies as they are holding them hostage, just like Hamas did. And now, just like ISIS, their best friends, and Hamas, their best friends, they are recording it and sharing it after the blackouts. Well, guess what? During the blackouts, somebody was keeping an eye on you. Somebody with very good eyes.
Elaaheh, will Donald Trump's intervention not risk a wider conflict, given Tehran's threats that they will respond by attacking Iran's neighboring countries that are housing US troops, meaning Qatar and Israel?
In the moment that Donald Trump decides to retaliate with kinetic action against this regime, the regime's bases that are so loudly talking about conflict that they've already created and destroyed in the Middle East. They're talking about bases that are holding tiny little firecrackers versus B-2 bombers. Relax. The international community is going to be safe the second kinetic action against the IRGC takes place. But let me tell you one thing. Artesh belongs to the people of Iran. The Iranian military is refusing to take arms against the Iranian people. They have already, in their high numbers, shown allegiance and pledged allegiance to the people of Iran and the true king of Iran. We are going to win this. Don't waste your time with noise. Sound message is coming from Iran.